agent here at the Northville Market Center. So it's definitely a privilege and an honor to be here with you guys for the next couple hours. So we're going to go through the materials because Federal University has put together a phenomenal program for Ignite. Okay, so sometimes there's misconceptions about Ignite just being for new agents, and that's totally incorrect. Okay, it's for agents that are looking to build a predictable, duplicatable business. Okay, predictable, duplicatable business. Who would like that? Me? Great, you're at the right spot. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you're seasoned, experienced, okay, if you're not at the level where you want to go, Ignite is the key to help you get there. So we'll go through all the information, but you guys have the hard part. So it's actually implementing it. But if you do what they share with you, what we share with you, you're going to have phenomenal business. So welcome. And just a little history about myself. So I've been licensed now since 1993. Kind of feel old saying that, but time flies, especially when you're having fun. My first house, how I got into real estate is I was 16 at the time and found out about real estate investing from an employer of mine. He had over 50 properties that he had purchased, fixed up, and leased out. So he kind of showed me how he did it. I remember sitting at a Sunbeam Donuts. Who remembers Sunbeam? Okay, before Dunkin' Donuts.
Right.
And on a napkin, showing me talking about cash flow. And it really opened my eyes. I started looking, and within a year, I had my first property, fixed it up, sold it a year later. I remember I was actually on spring break for high school, sending a telegram, accepting the offer. Now I feel really telegram. Anyways, so that's what got me started, and went to college. After college, I started in real estate sales. So I definitely enjoyed it. I was a real estate agent from 93 to 99, went back for my master's, and then after that I started managing offices. So very fortunate to always work with a great group of people. So every year we kept building and building, even in the worst years. So I started managing the Coldwell Banker, or Schweitzer at the time, office in Northville from April 1st, I remember that date, April 1st, 2005. Who remember what was going on in real estate in 2005? It was the beginning to what we thought the end, almost. Okay, market was going on a steady decrease. Every year we still sold more units than we did the year before. The challenge is we weren't making as much money, okay, but we still sold units. So again, I don't say these things to impress you, but to impress upon you the strategies, the ideas that I'm going to share with you work. And they don't work because I'm reading here in the book. They work because I know agents that I've coached, because I've been a productivity coach ever since they said I've been a manager. I've been a productivity coach also, and helping my agents grow their business. So I know from first-hand knowledge experience, me doing it, coaching agents, these things work. They work in any market, no matter if the market's going up, market's going down, market's going sideways. These strategies and systems will work for you as long as you work. Absolutely. So good enough?
Yeah.
All right, so to make this a beneficial 2 hours of your time, okay, what do you guys want to get out of the next 2 hours? And keep in mind, the topic is prospecting. We're in session 4. What's going to make it a good 2 hours and an investment of your time being here? What do you guys want to get out of it?
I want to take up your different strategies.
Okay, my different strategies? Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I have my own that have worked for me since
Great.
I've been in
perfect.
working as an ISA.
All right.
But every person I talk to has something a little different.
Sure.
I just love hearing the different things to be able to apply.
Absolutely. So we'll talk about pretty much all the strategies. Okay, I mean, we're not going to be able to get into a great depth, but the great thing about real estate is these systems and programs, they work today, they worked 10 years ago, they worked 20 years ago. All right, they're the core principles of real estate. Okay, so where a majority of your business is going to come from this. Doing other things will add on to that. Okay, but we're really going to be focusing on the core issues, but we'll get into more of that too.
I just had a question. The ISA, what does that stand for?
Inside Sales Associate. I set the appointments for some of the larger teams.
Okay. Okay. So this is going to be great getting your input on this, because as an ISA, how many hours were you working?
Over 40.
Over 40 hours a week. Okay. How many hours were you spending on the phone?
In an 8-hour day, at least 6 hours, honestly.
So when I say 3 hours, we talk about prospecting. For you, it's still 6.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so.
In
it's gonna
different
be-
times of the day.
Yep,
there.
absolutely. So it's going to be interesting getting a perspective for somebody was their job was to call people. Okay, it'll be a great perspective. So great. What else do you guys want to get out of it relating to session 4, prospecting?
I'd like to know what we can do to convert your database into clients.
Okay. Converting database.
Like people that are in your database.
Okay.
Into active.
Business.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, we'll talk about that too. What else?
I'd like to know if there's actual data on time and investment versus actual results. What,
Okay.
you know, minute per dollar, what's your best bet?
Okay.
As a new agent?
Good. We'll talk about that too. All right, perfect. So those all line up to what we want to talk about. Anything else? Okay, so we'll be hitting on those topics, so remind me when we're on that, and we can dive a little bit deeper into that. All right, now everyone has your packet, correct? So, again, we talked about, this is your second day, I believe. Okay, and it's the 4th session. Okay, and it's prospecting. And again, as I mentioned, and I don't say that just to say it, I'm really excited about teaching this program. Because to me, this is the most important session of all of Ignite. And not just because I'm teaching it, okay, I'm kidding. But because it really is the cornerstone. It's what's going to determine if you're going to be successful or how successful you're going to be. Because none of the other stuff really matters much if we're not doing our prospecting. Okay? So when I say that P word, who gets a little bit nervous? Kind of your butt punches up a little bit, you know, feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay? All right, so why are we so adverse to the term prospecting? We can call it lead generation if that makes you feel more comfortable.
Not really.
Okay. Okay. So, and this is a very safe environment. Meaning, if you don't agree with what I'm saying, say something. All right, let's have a discussion. Because it doesn't do a whole lot of good if I'm up here just, you know, if it's just one way and you're like, oh yeah, that doesn't work. Let's talk about it. If you don't believe it works, let's dissect it. Okay, I can't, you know, I might not be able to change your mind, but if you have concern about it, odds are other people do. So until we have a deep, honest discussion about that, nothing's really going to change, is it? Okay, so why are we so adverse to prospecting, to lead generation? Why does it make us feel uncomfortable?
We're asking people for business. Kind of asking people
Okay,
for business, for support.
we're asking people for business. Okay, the drunk monkey. And does everyone know who the drunk monkey is?
Yes.
Anyone that doesn't know the drunk monkey? Okay, you're looking, drunk monkey. It's that little voice inside your head saying, you don't want to be begging people for business. You know, you don't want to bother them. You know, what are they going to think about you? You can't do that. You're too old. You're too young. You know, you've tried that before and it didn't work. It's that voice in our head. We call it a drunk monkey. Okay, because we let this voice in our head live there. And pretty much like, imagine if it was a drunk monkey living in your house, how they would just tear it up. Now we look at it and say, okay, that little voice, that inside voice that we have, it's really there to protect us. Okay, it's fearful because we're doing something we really haven't done before. We're doing something that we're uncomfortable. Because if we've done it over and over again, would we be uncomfortable with it? It becomes routine, right? Lynette, so your other career is physical fitness. Okay, and when you started this journey, wasn't that long ago, was it? How many years?
That I started training?
Yes.
About a year.
Okay. Even back further. So I know before you were actually a trainer, you were doing it yourself.
Yes.
Was it uncomfortable?
Yes.
Yes. Did it make you feel bad?
Yes.
Sore?
Every time.
Like, why am I doing that? I always remember this joke, this woman, older woman talking about the young gal who's the trainer. I don't like the way she does sit-ups. It hurts my stomach. You know, well, that's the intent. You know, that's you getting stronger. Okay, so is it possible for people to work out, get physically stronger without a little pain?
Is it possible for them to get to a point where there's not a lot of pain?
No. For me to grow my muscles.
Oh yeah, there's gotta be, the only way to grow is for your muscles to have minor tears in them.
Correct.
So it's like destroying yourself to get stronger.
Yes. Okay, not necessarily destroying yourself, but to
pick
feel a little
yourself up a little
uncomfortable.
bit, yeah.
Yeah, my friend, years ago when I was working, my friend's like, that's just the pain leaving your body. Okay, no, the weakness. The pain is the weakness leaving your body. So he'd always remind me of that because I can't physically get stronger if I don't have a little pain in it.
Challenge.
A little challenge. Look at how a plane flies. And sometimes I'm still amazed by I'm getting in this multi-ton piece of aluminum and it's going to get all these people, and I know how I pack my suitcase, all this weight, you know, in the air. It still amazes me sometimes. But it's resistance. If a plane didn't have wind resistance, would it be able to get off the ground? No. Okay, so this resistance that we have in real estate, okay, rejection, the drunk monkey, okay, are just ways of things that we need to go through to have success. They're stepping stones, all right, because you can't have success without having some of these challenges, some of these tears in the muscle, right? So I got off a little tangent, but we talked about the drunk monkey. So that drunk monkey does want to protect us, but what is it protecting us from? You know, what's the worst thing that will happen if you prospected?
I'm gonna say no.
People say no. I don't know if that's the worst thing, but people say no.
The worst thing you gotta worry about.
So, how long did you do as an inside sales agent, ISA? A couple months?
3 months with the permanent team, and
Okay.
I've been with Opulent Life for 3 months.
Okay, excellent. So 6 months as an inside sales, calling about 6 hours a day. What's the worst thing that happened to you?
Someone will yell at you,
Someone yelled at you.
but big deal. I mean,
Okay. They didn't come knocking on your door?
No, of course not.
Okay, maybe say a couple bad things?
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
What's the best thing that can come from prospecting?
Get the appointment, good business,
Okay. What else?
referrals.
Money.
The best thing? Okay, yeah,
Confidence, yeah.
all that's right, but it's your dreams and your goals. That's the best thing that can come from it. Okay, when I sit down and I'm coaching agents, especially for the first time, they say, well, it's money. Well, sure, you know, that's a goal, but let's dig a little bit deeper. It's not, you don't want pictures of dead presidents in your pocket, right? You're not collecting those just because you like their photo. It's what they do for you and your family. Okay, so the worst is a little pain, someone rejects me, someone says a bad name. Okay, the upside is I could have the life of my dreams. And I'm serious about that. I've worked with a lot of agents that have changed their lives, okay, by learning this. Okay, by being able to travel, you know, pay off debt, give money away, whatever it is important to you, that's the upside. So downside isn't really that bad. So then we have to, if we really dissect what we're looking at about why we're uncomfortable with prospecting, it almost doesn't seem logical.
Because your
Okay?
gain is way greater than your.
That's part of it, but also, you know, we're afraid of maybe rejection. Is that a fair statement to make? You know, people don't like rejection. All right, I've been married now going on 10 years, okay? I got 2 little girls, okay? And I get rejected by my family every single day. I do. You don't drop it on my little 7-year-old, she doesn't want to kiss or hug me because we're in her class. You know, that's just the reality of it. But, you know, that's deeper rejection than someone I don't know saying, I don't need your services, or hanging up on me. Okay, but I still live with that. But I'm gonna let a stranger take me off track from my goal of what I want to do for me and my family? Does that make sense?
I always just think that if they say no to you,
Mhm.
like, who cares? You're never gonna see them again. You're never gonna talk to them again. Who cares?
So we're talking a lot more about how to accept rejection and really what does it mean. So we're going to get into that. So let's jump ahead. So we're on page 4-2, report your results. And I know this is a pretty quick course where we're doing 2 sessions at a time. So you may have not had a chance to implement this since you were in class pretty much all day yesterday, right? I think you had 2 sessions yesterday?
That's today. That was today.
That was today, okay. So, this next session here on 4-2 is rating your daily 10-4. So, guys, there was a discussion yesterday about the daily 10-4.
Every day yeah.
Okay, so we're building and manage your database. So adding 10 people to your database. Why are we doing that?
Grow a business.
Grow our business, okay. Why else? Specifically, Okay, how does the size of our database relate to the number of units we close? Have you guys been told that yet?
A figure? No.
There's a 10% return. Okay, that if I'm growing my database and I'm cultivating it, which we'll talk about in a little while, I'm staying in contact with them on a regular basis, I'm eventually going to get about a 10% return. Okay, so if I have 100 people in my database and I'm calling them, I'm mailing them, I'm staying in contact, I'm coming from contribution, I'm looking to help and support them, okay, I should get a 10% return. So I should get 10 transactions out of 100 people. If I have 500 people and I'm doing the same thing, I should get 50 transactions from that. All right, so it's important to feed that database. Pardon me?
Annual or?
Annual, correct. Yeah, so it's important to always be feeding that database. And especially as a new agent, sometimes we get stuck, especially for the analytical ones, we get stuck saying, well, it's not perfect yet. You know, I don't have my whole database. Well, that's why we're just saying every day, just add 10 people. Okay, where's that list coming from? Did you guys talk about that yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So then, prospecting, the next 10-4. Prospecting, connect with 10 people today. Write 10 notes. Okay, and preview 10 homes. You guys talk about the importance of previewing. Perfect. All right. So we also need to know our numbers. I mean, so we talked about doing these things. We also need, I mean, how do we know if we're on track if we're not tracking our numbers? Real estate is a 90-day cycle. Okay, what do we mean by that? That real estate is a 90-day cycle. And that's sometimes one of the most challenging parts of real estate, because a painter can go into a house and at the end of the day, you've seen what they've done. With real estate, it's not quite like that, is it? Okay, so what we do today will pay off in 90 days. And that can be challenging, that can be frustrating, because we're putting all this effort and energy, and what do we have? Okay, so, but if we're tracking our numbers, we're gonna know. You know, I did my 10-4 today. You know, I talked to 10 people. I added 10 people to my database. I wrote 10 notes, and I previewed 10 properties this week. Okay, if you did that, you know you are on track to your goals. You can go home head held high, knowing you're doing the right things. All right, but if we don't know our numbers, if we're not tracking our numbers, we're not gonna know. In 90 days from now, is way too long to wait. Okay, so we gotta track those numbers. All right, 4-3, get your head in the game. All right, so this part about prospecting, we're talking about building a habit. All right, it's the most important habit of real estate. And again, it's the habit of prospecting. All right, we're going to talk about how long we do it, when we should do it, things like that. But we've known Gary Keller, who's read the MREA book, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. Okay, so if you haven't read that yet, you're going to want to dive into that. All right, what the MREA book basically is, Gary interviewed hundreds of agents, of top successful agents, and what they've done to build their business. They're currently actually in the remake of that, of a revised edition, because that one's been out for quite a while. So there's going to be some things that have changed, but the core principles are really going to remain the same. But they looked at that and they realized that top agents, they're talking to their prospecting, talking to their database, using that, cultivating it, calling people, prospecting, lead generation, at least 3 hours every single day, typically in the morning. Again, success leaves clues, so we know that's part of the reality. So Chris Heller, is everyone familiar with Chris Heller? He's our new CEO, isn't it? He got a new title, because originally he was an agent. He grew his business, had his own team, became an OP of his market center, I think a couple market centers, became president of KW Worldwide. So he was the first president of KW Worldwide, in charge of expansion out of Canada and the United States. Okay, and now, I think he's CEO is the current title. So I've known Chris for many years, because he was involved in Mike Ferry coaching, as I was. So how he built his business is exactly on this prospecting. If we have time, we're going to show a video of Chris doing some of this prospecting. All right, if we don't have time, I can at least show you the link. You guys can watch it yourself. I highly, highly recommend it. So the person in charge of the future of Keller Williams basically started as an agent doing the same things that we're teaching you what to do today. Again, we know that works. So let's take a quick look and read that box with Chris's picture on there. Read it, and please underline, some of the things that resonate with you. So if you take a minute, just read that to yourself. So what did you guys get from that? What did you guys have underlined?
I underlined, couldn't wait for them to find me, 4 to 6 hours a day, and more important than listing presentations.
Absolutely. Great points.
I underlined, knew I had to find buyers and seller and making prospecting my focus and treat it as a listing appointment.
Excellent. So many times we want to use prospecting. Once we get to this point, hopefully you'll realize how important it is. Yet many agents, if they get an appointment for a listing presentation, an appointment for a buyer, any appointment they can find, they're trying to justify not prospecting. They'll do that over prospecting. Okay? But the reality is, this should be the most important part, your most important appointment that you have. Because it's the beginning of one, creating a habit, okay, and two, this is what you need to do to build your business. Because again, if you don't do this, you're not going to have the other business, the other appointments 90 days from now. That's just the reality of it. Now, in looking at it, especially as a newer agent, sometimes we do have to shuffle some things around. So maybe, but we want to do our best to try and book appointments later in the day. So many times someone says, well, can you meet at 9 o'clock? You want to say, sure. You know, say, well, I have another appointment at that time. Well, 1 o'clock, how does 1 o'clock work for you? I can do 1 o'clock or I can do 5 o'clock, which one works best for you? So sometimes if we just ask the client the question, they can say, oh, well, 5 o'clock works. But so many times we want to give up on our prospecting because we want to get this appointment. And if we can't, for whatever that appointment is, and we can't get it to do it at a different time, and it's that important, schedule it. Well, make sure you time block so you shift your prospecting time, right? Just don't get rid of it. Because if you remove it, okay, what's going to happen 90 days from now?
Nothing.
Yeah, you're not going to have that business, or it's going to be this up and down business. Okay, so there is, we'll talk a lot about bold quotes, but there's one, everyone familiar with bold? Let me take a step back. Okay, the program, the course bold? Yes, no, no, okay.
It's another course.
So Keller Williams, MAPS Coaching, they have a program that comes around typically once or twice a year. It's called Bold. And Bold is I don't know if it's either a 7-week course or an 8-week course. But you meet once a day, every week. So it's kind of spaced learning. And it's a phenomenal program. So when that comes through, I highly recommend taking it. I've taken it 3 times now. I think I missed one, I think I missed last year. But I've taken every one before that. And I'll be taking it again this year. All right? It's just that important. People say, well, you've already been to it. Or sometimes I'll hear the excuse, well, I've already been once. It's like, well, I've been to the gym once too, but that's not really going to happen. You know, I've read the Bible once. I've taken a shower once. I've taken a shower this week. I'm good. You know, it's something that you need to do every time. So we talk about some of these bold quotes, and this one quote is, if it's not in your schedule, it doesn't exist. If it's not in your schedule, it doesn't exist. And there's actually 2 meanings to that. Okay, what do you think the first one is? Pretty obvious.
Schedule it.
Okay, if it's important, you need to schedule it. Okay, if you're doing it and it's not in your schedule, you shouldn't be doing it. Okay, so there's 2 ways of looking at it. So if it's important, we need to put it in our schedule. Family should be in our schedule. That should go in first. Okay. But if we're doing things and it doesn't line up with our calendar, then something's wrong. Either we missed it or we shouldn't be doing it. So, all right, so going back to, any other ahas from Chris Heller's comments here? Okay, obviously it's critical. It's how he built his business. It's how he's built his team, his offices. Okay, and it's how Keller Williams was built. Okay, Gary Keller prospected before he was an agent. So, and he actually, I don't know if you heard the story, but there's a great video on KW.com. Okay, it's something like Gary's Black Box or something to those lines. So I would definitely search for it. It's like a 20-minute video. Watch it. He really talks about how he built his real estate business, okay, as a salesperson, and then how he built his company, because it's really about the same way. And he had this black Rolodex box, okay, that he had these cards in, and these cards were his leads. When he first got started in real estate, you know, he wasn't very good. He wasn't, okay? But then he realized what he needed to do to go out and find buyers and sellers. He did that in a systematic way, okay, and he built his business. And he did the same thing at building Keller Williams. So this is definitely something that goes very deep in of who we are. So page 4-4, countdown to payday. And obviously, so these are the steps to get paid. But we also typically look at it a different way. The more people we can help, okay, the more people are going to help us reach our goal. So we talk about countdown to payday, but it's really contribution. You know, who can I help? Okay, I always have that every day in my head, it's who can I help? I'm looking for buyers and sellers that can help. And there's many buyers and sellers that need help that if I don't get a hold of them, they'll probably end up with an agent that might not be as good as I am, may not care as much as I do, maybe unethical, okay? So I look at it as a mind shift change. I look at it as my job to go out there and find them so they don't lose money, or so they don't end up having a bad transaction costing thousands of dollars. So it's a little bit different way of looking at it. So when we do a countdown to payday, it's okay, you know, how many people can I help? So we're in the very beginning of this, obviously, and the first one, finding the leads and the appointments, obviously it stems from prospecting. And we know prospecting is the quickest and most productive way to get leads and appointments for our business. The quantity of leads and the quality of appointments you obtain is a direct reflection of your prospecting effort. The quantity of leads and the quality of appointments you obtain is a direct reflection of your prospecting efforts. Okay, so if we're not getting a lot of prospects, a lot of appointments, or poor quality, we have to look at, okay, what am I doing to get those? How am I getting these? Because something's not working. So many times, I think real estate is the most sold to industry out there. And if it hasn't happened to you yet, it will. But you're going to get bombarded every day with the new shiny silver thing that's going to help you just grow your business. I mean, it's crazy, but I mean, look at the weight loss industry. I mean, all the commercials you're hearing, I mean, they just make me sick. Some of them are from doctors, and that they're saying this stuff. It's like, that can't be right, you know? But they know people want, you know, to take a pill and just lose weight. Whatever, it's easy. It may not be logical, but they want to believe it. They want to believe that it works. And the reality is, and when it comes to weight loss, it's changing your habits.
The good old-fashioned way.
Yeah, the good old-fashioned way. Changing your habits, doing more activity, watching what you eat. Is that a fair assessment from a certified trainer? That's why I keep looking to on that. So there's no easy pill. So if someone's trying to sell you leads, okay, maybe Realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia, whatever it is, you really have to look at it. Is this going to impact my business? Is it just the next shiny object? Okay, and if it was so great, would they really need to be out there promoting it like crazy? Okay, now when you get to a certain level, could that enhance your business? Absolutely. All right.
They sell the fact that we're just selling them to you. It's what you do with them that, you know, and that's their big pull.
That is, but if I just give you all these leads that may want to, thinking about it in the next 4 or 5 years, they're really the lowest caliber leads you can get. They're also the most costly one too. Now, at a certain point, as I mentioned, some of those will add to your business, okay? But you kind of need to earn that right first. Because if we look at the Perna-Team, okay, they have a pretty big budget, I would assume, for things like that. If you look at Mark Z, if you look at Jeff Glover, okay, they do those things. But I can guarantee when they first started, they didn't. What do you think they did? Prospect, they called. Okay, and I was managing the Coldwell Banker Northville office at the time, and I remember Mike because he was also a prospector, but we had some good agents in my office that would beat him out a lot. And he realized that some of these agents have a little more experience, a little more seasoned, but he was still able to get his fair share. He would do it a little bit differently. Instead of calling, okay, the listings that he really wanted, he would go knock on the door.
Smart.
Yeah. Okay, because no matter if you're a new agent or a seasoned agent, you have your strengths, you have your weaknesses. You need to know what those are.
Right.
Okay, but you can still beat out experienced agents. You just need to know what your strengths are. You need to be able to explain that to the consumer, and they may list with you. But again, he did it from prospect. And I know Jeff. I was with Jeff when he started his team. Okay, and I was with Mark when he started his team. Okay, before he started his team. It all stemmed from prospecting, picking up the phone. Mark Z always had a great book of business. He has a big sphere of influence. So he would just fall out of bed and do $7 million a year. $7 million, $8 million.
Wow.
He would. And he's blessed to have that type of family and that network to do that. But with Mark, he wants more. Okay, so he knew he had to do some things differently. All right, and he learned the scripts and dialogues. There's a great story when I was, Mark and I were working together. I was the manager, he was an agent, and he would always get back into his old habits. He never really had to do a listing presentation. Because when you're going to your friends and your family, it's like, okay, list it here, and they'd say, okay, sign here. That was his listing presentation. But again, if we want different results, we have to do different things, right? So he would be prospecting. But when he'd get to the listing presentation, he was just more comfortable doing what he always did, and that wasn't much of a listing presentation, and he would be losing these. So he lost this one. I think it was an expired listing because we had lots of expireds during that time. It was a bad market. He lost this one to another agent. They listed it for like 90 days. It didn't sell, so he got back in front of them again. And I remember him leaving for that appointment. We were in the computer room, okay, and there was a clipboard, and it had all the new listings for that day. On the back of the clipboard said, "Do not remove from the computer room." He took that clipboard, he printed out the listing presentation, put it there, and he went to the seller's house, and he basically went through the listing presentation in front of him. He got that listing, and they got it for thousands of dollars less than what was last listed at, and it sold, I think, in like a month or two, which was good for that time of the year. Okay, and he was so excited when he came back because he got it, and he got it at the price that it caused it to sell. But he had to be a little uncomfortable with it. He wasn't used to that. Okay, but he followed the script and it worked. So, all right, going back to what we're doing today, plan of action. Just a quick overview. Two things that we want to cover. First, we're going to internalize the 4 C's of prospecting, which is capture, connect, close, and cultivate. We're going to get into these deeper. Okay, second thing we're going to look at is the 3 processes in your 3 hours of daily lead generation, which is prepare, take action, and maintain. So prepare, we're going to be looking at, okay, prepping the call list. Where do we get these from? Who are we calling? Affirmations. Okay, focus on our big why, practicing the scripts. Take action is doing real play prospecting. Okay, we'll talk about that more. Updating our database and maintain, tracking the results. Again, we need to know the numbers, schedule commitments, our appointments, and the right thank you notes. So that is what we're going to cover over the next hour and a half here. All right, gearing up. Now, because of this program being so condensed, we typically don't have time for you to actually physically do these activities. Right. Did you guys bring your database? Right, okay. So we got a couple of them, yes. All right. But these are things that typically we would break and actually do. But we're going to discuss them so that you can hopefully do them tonight or when the program ends. All right, let's see here. Affirmations of the day. Opportunities come easily to me. Now, some people believe in affirmations. Some people think that's just a bunch of hooey. Okay? But the reality is, typically, if you don't believe in it, what are you saying to yourself? What's your self-talk? Because to me, that's really what affirmations are, is the things that we say to ourselves. Is it that I'm not good enough? Is it that, again, that drunk monkey? Too old, I'm too young, I don't know what I'm doing, they're not gonna pick me. Because we all have those voices in our head, right? Hopefully it's just the same voice. Different course. But what are you saying to yourself? Is it positive or is it negative?
Look at yourself there.
Okay, so that's about these affirmations. And we cannot control the first thought that pops in our head. It's impossible. We can control the second one. And actually, I have a coach. I've had one since I started managing and coaching. And what's great about having a coach is a lot of these things I already know, okay, but I'm not necessarily implementing. Okay, so it's kind of a meter. Okay, when I talk to my coach, I'm reminded of things that I need to be doing. And so even at my last call, I wrote on my whiteboard on my desk positive thoughts. So I'm great at beating myself up because I know what to do, but am I implementing them? And when I don't implement them, I beat myself up. Okay, is that going to help me?
No.
And I always love the story of my little girl as the little train that could. I mean, it's such a little kid story, but it's so true. And I think it was Henry Ford that said, if you think you can, I think you can. You're right. So again, it's those affirmations. So they're important. What we say matters, not only to the consumer, but it matters to us. Because that's the voice. We're affirming it. When we talk about losing weight, when you lose something, you typically want to find it.
Right.
You do.
Right.
Okay, and I found it. I found it a couple times. I've lost them a couple times, and I found it a couple times. You know? So my affirmation's about a better lifestyle, better eating habits, staying active, not about losing weight, because I always tend to find it again. Okay? And losing, I use these analogies a lot because it's really the same things. So I did Weight Watchers twice. I lost 30 pounds the last time, about 20 pounds the first time. Okay? And it's just a common sense approach. Again, the first thing is you have to keep track of what you're consuming. And at the time, they had a point system, so I think I had like 22 points. And I remember writing all my points and saying, oh no, that's not right. And I erase it. I ended up again, no, that can't be. You know, erase it. It's lunchtime and I ate all my points. You know, it's like, because I didn't think I ate all my points. You know, I was being good.
Rogers, they have no clue what you're talking about, but I understand.
Yeah, it's because we're not keeping track of the numbers. Same thing in real estate. You know, we think we're doing good, but until we track it, it's like you don't really know. So, all right, sorry I keep getting off on these tangents here.
No, that was a good analogy.
All right, thank you. So, let's see here. We talked about the 4 C's, gearing up, affirmations. All right, make them happen. So we're starting on page 4-7, the 4 C's of prospecting. Okay, and it starts off with prospecting is a conversation. And that's what I share when I do career nights and talk to people that are thinking about getting started in real estate. I always tell them, for me, sales is just interpersonal communication. That's all it is. Okay, because I'm never trying to sell somebody on a house. I'm not. I'm trying to find out what's important to them and is it a good fit for them. I want to find out what their goals are, what they're trying to do. And if I can help them achieve that, they're going to hire me. If I can explain that I can help them do that, if I can show that I can provide value, they're going to hire me. So really, I'm always only selling myself, but I can only do that by talking, by communicating. And that's really what prospecting is just having a conversation, finding out what's important to them. All right, business building conversations aim to achieve at least one of these 2 goals. 1, get an appointment. 2, get a referral. And they always accomplish the following: strengthen the relationship. So I really look at it as 3 things. Every person that we bump into, that we talk to, that we call, there's 3 different ways that we can get business from them. Okay, the first and the obvious is if they buy or sell with us right now, right? All right, the second one, okay, as we talked about here, is they refer business to us. And the third one the referral, or excuse me, not referral, but strengthen the relationship. So we put them in our sphere of influence. So everybody that you talk to, everybody that you bump into, whether if it's on purpose, on accident, okay, there's 3 ways we can get business from them. At one of the KW events, I don't know if it was Mega Camp or Family Reunion, they had this guy that would sell wine, okay, and he had this huge business of wine sales, and he did it out of his home office on the phone. He would call people. He built a database of people that loved wines, and he would ship off the wines to them. And I think he wrote this book, There Are No Wrong Numbers in Sales. So sometimes, you know, either somebody get a wrong number and call him, okay, and they say, oh, I'm sorry, because his number was similar to another number, and they'd say, did I dial the wrong number? He goes, only if you don't like wine. I'm like, what? And he had a script that he would follow for a wrong call. Okay, sometimes we call the wrong people. Okay, if we're starting our prospecting or if we've been doing it, sometimes we just hit the wrong number. So do you just hang up? Or do you ask them the question? Well, who do you know in this fantastic market that's thinking about buying or selling real estate now or in the near future? Okay, so there's no wrong numbers. Everybody we bump into, whether it's the person at the grocery store. Dave Abdallah is a great agent that I had the pleasure of working with when I was starting my career in Dearborn for Century 21. He's the #1 Century 21 agent in the world this year. You never see him without his name badge. He was at the hospital visiting his father. His father was sick in the hospital. He's doing fine now. But so he's not necessarily going to talk to the nurse about who they know about buying or selling real estate. Okay? But she saw his name badge. She said, oh, you're for Century 21. He had a script. He picked up business from the nurse. So that name badge can get you thousands and thousands of dollars. All right. So we looked at the, let's see here, 3 ways of getting business.
Lloyd, I have a
Yes,
question.
please.
Relating to getting an appointment, get a referral, or strengthening a relationship. What is the balance between focusing prospecting on leads that need your service now
Correct?
versus long-term
Great question.
strengthening relationships that will lead to future business?
Great question. Okay, does everyone truly get that? Right? Because there's got to be a balance. Because if we're just building our business for future growth, we're going to have some skinny kids if you have kids. Right? There's going to be some lean times because we're looking for now business. Because if you're looking for now business, you'll automatically find business for later. But if we're always focused on the later business of strengthening those relationships, we're going to have a hard time finding the now business. Okay. So another bold law is, it's just escaping. What you focus on expands. What you focus on expands. So if I'm looking for the now business, that's what I'm going to find. If I'm looking for a future business, that's what I'm going to find. Okay, but there's people that we talk to looking for the now business, that it's the no, but it's the no just for right now. Okay, but it'll probably be a yes somewhere down the line. Okay, so unless you have lots of money in the bank, unless you're doing this just for a hobby or have something of a trust fund, okay, I would be looking for the now business. Okay, because the future business you'll automatically find.
So now would be what? Expireds? Concentrate on expired, and what specifically do we concentrate on when we say now?
Great question. So, and we're going to get deeper into this, but I answer that question now. Markets change. So what we do, the core principles don't change that much, but sometimes we shift on who we're calling. Because between 2005 to 2010 was the worst 5 years in real estate that we've seen in, you know, maybe in decades. For sale by owners dried up drastically. Expired just blew up. Okay, because people weren't selling, because agents didn't know how to sell in that market. That was the honest truth of it. And it was also difficult because if you were trying to build your business like you did before, especially on pricing, when the market's going down, and many times as agents and sellers, they price it a little bit above the market. In an upward market, it's going to catch up. So in most real estate, especially prior to 2005, you know, real estate basically went up. Okay, many times it went up way too much, one of the things that caused the problem. But 2005 to 2010, real estate was going down. So if the price should be here, and you price the home up here, and it's going down, so they would list it, take a price reduction, you know, take another price reduction, but they can never catch up to the market quick enough. So we knew the numbers, we were predicting of the trends, and at the worst point, prices were going down 1.5% a month. So we weren't looking at the sold price, we were looking at the pending price. Not the pending price, the pending date. Because that's really when price was determined, when it went pending, not necessarily when it sold. So we would count back looking at the CMA, okay, that was 4 months ago, so now we have to subtract 6% from that price. It should be here. So we were going in with much lower prices than most of the other agents we were competing against, but we were also selling more of our properties because that's where the market was going. Okay, so we need to know what market we're in, but we're still in the market. The business core principle is still talking to people, but we're just talking a lot more expireds. In this market, expireds are drying up. There's still some out there. Okay, but what's happening now with for sale by owners?
They're going up.
They're going up. Okay, and this is a typical swing that we see when markets change. Okay, when the market's good, okay, the sellers don't necessarily need us as much. That's why I see for sale by others. And sometimes they sell. Sometimes they sell for less than what we could have sold it for. Sometimes they actually could sell for more than what we could have sold it for. Okay, but the odds are they will make more money with us. That's a whole different story on for sale by owners though. So in this market, there's still some expireds. So I would contact expireds. I'd be contacting more for sale by owners because there's more of them available. Okay, I'd be contacting our sphere, our circle prospecting. We'll get into that. Okay. All right. Other questions? Can I answer your question? Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So let's look at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 capture. Okay. How do we? You know, these are the of who we're calling. So we'll talk about capture. We'll talk about connecting. If we get the appointment, we'll cultivate. So we'll dig down deeper on the next page, 4-8. Okay. Capture. This is our database, basically. Or these are our lists, depending on who we're calling. Okay, so you guys, Ken, I know he did a great job on talking about database. Okay, we talked about one of the things that we need to add people to our database. We talked about why that's important. Okay, so there's a great script here at the bottom of 4-8. Okay, so when we're calling our sphere, if you don't have all of their details, maybe you just have a phone number, maybe you just have an email, you know, contact them, get more information. So this is a great one over the phone. By the way, I don't have all your information. Can I get your email or your mailing address or whatever? Okay, ask. How else can we capture? Capture for getting information. Who to call?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Okay, well, how else?
When you need someone to get their card, don't give them yours.
I love that. Because so many of us just want to give them the card. And usually I don't have cards on me, so I'm not going to lie. Well, I don't have any on me. Let me get your information. So why do we do that?
Because it lies with you to follow up.
Yeah, because they're
Not
odds.
counting on them.
Are they going to follow up with you?
No.
My dad's so sweet. He's been telling me this for 20 years. I gave someone your card. Great dad, thanks. Okay. You know how many people called me? What do you tell? Every couple months he'll tell. But if we have their information, now we can put it in our database. We're capturing that information. Okay.
I just want to add something. Even if you just know the person's name, you can go on Spokio and get their information.
Yes. So this is
I don't know if there's other resources like that out there.
Whitepages.com, there's Bressers, people, yeah, there's a ton of them out there. So especially if you're doing open houses, we almost have to play detective sometimes, because not everyone wants to give you too much information. But I always ask them, so are you a neighbor? You live in the sun? Oh yeah. If they can give you some information, usually I can find them. either by some of these websites, by public records, okay?
I found people on Amazon, their Amazon wish list.
Stealth-like.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
that again?
If you go on Amazon and type someone's name in there, normally they have a wish list and it's open to the public.
Really?
I gotta remove some things on my wish
I
list.
got I just got a visual of people at nighttime looking at my wish list and screaming space. I'm not gonna sleep tonight, thank you.
Thanks for that.
So, be resourceful. So if you don't have your list, okay, start.
That scares me now.
You know, start with this. I mean, how many people are on your phone list? I'm just curious. I don't know if I can find this quick here. See, mine's a little bit different because I have lots of agents. 2,040 contacts.
Wow.
Okay. So obviously there's a lot of agents that are in here, a lot of, you know, but still, if I take that out, what happens if I'm left with 500?
That's still good.
50 deals a year.
50 deals a year.
Deals a year, yeah.
Yeah. So start with, if you have a holiday mailing list, if you have a wedding list, if you look at your Facebook, look at the LinkedIn. There's lots of different ways we can go to this database. Okay. And again, feeding it 10 times. So we're capturing that information and obviously calling them to fill in all the details.
Lloyd,
Yes.
one thing, I don't know if anybody else has this problem, but like little scraps of paper all over your desk, right? Or in your car on a receipt, it's ridiculous. So I just went to Staples and I bought one of these and it fits in my
I
bag.
just got that from upstairs.
And what's cool is, like, let's say in the subject, I'll put listing appointment, like that's what the topic is. Or if they're calling on one of my listings, I put it there. And then I can tear off one of these and like put it in an add to database or whatever. But I will never lose the number because it's a carbon copy.
That's a great idea.
Anyway, I was just so excited. I just wanted everyone to not have the paper.
Yeah, because that'll kill your business. If you have little Post-it notes or something.
Because you know,
It just sounded great.
sometimes you just paper sometimes comes in handy. I mean, what if you're, you
You need
have
to
it,
know.
what if you don't have your laptop right now?
And you
You
know,
don't just
a
have access
caveat to
the
that?
database.
I know.
Because that just happened to me today. I was actually with one of my sellers talking about his property, and he gave me a lead 3 days ago, and I wrote it on something, and I was embarrassed, and I had to ask him again for it because I couldn't find the paper.
Happens all the time. All the time. What's worse is, we find it, we call them, they're like, oh yeah, I already listed it. Okay, how much did you just?
Then you just
because
kick
you were
yourself in the
unorganized?
butt.
Okay, it will happen unless you have good habits, okay, and you're cultivating and building your database or you're capturing your leads. So here's what I use. I have Top Producer, okay, yet right now I don't want to get burdened with the details, so I have this. I have a 3-ring binder, decent size. Okay, I have tabs in here, 1 through 31, okay, in January through December. So in here, I have blank buyer sheets and seller sheets, which have all the information that I need, okay? So I put their information down here, and then when I need to call them, let's say I need to talk to somebody on the 20th, I'll put them behind the 20th tab. If they say, well, I'm not gonna do anything for 6 months, then I go, we're in April, so in June, so I'm not gonna wait 6 months, I'm gonna call them in June. So I put them behind the June tab. Okay, this is basically the same thing as Gary Keller, but he used a Rolodex box. I'm using a 3-ring binder. Same thing.
Oh, you put the buyer or the seller sheet?
I put that
Yeah,
lead sheet,
like
I'm
they're-
sorry, I put that lead sheet behind whatever tab is appropriate.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Okay, so today is the 15th, over tax day. So let's say I'm going to talk to somebody next month. Depending on when I talk to them next month, if it's before the 15th, I'm just going to put them, do that 1 through 15 in that date. Because I know next month I'm starting from the beginning. So this is a very simple way. I can take it with me, I can have it next to me in the car. You know, it's always with me.
And you
Those-
start your day off with a partial call list because you know certain people you have to start.
Here, yeah. I'll
that
do
your
the
big
expireds
one?
first, and then this is my lead follow-up.
Is that your big why in
It is, which we'll talk to you about in a minute. This is the things that are important to me and why I'm doing what I'm doing. So
Those tabs, did you just, how did you organize that? That's kit or?
yeah, so there's 2 packets that I bought over at Office Depot. Okay, the one packet was 1 through 31. Okay, so the days of the month. Well, that's one packet. The second packet I bought was the month, January through December. Okay, so I have my days up front. So if I'm gonna follow with somebody on the 20th, 5 days from now, I put them behind the 20th tab. Okay? If I'm gonna talk to them in a couple months, I put them behind the month tab. If I'm gonna talk to them next month on the 10th, I don't put it next month, I put them the 10th, because that day's already passed, and I'll see it next time I flip around.
Right, makes sense.
Make sense? Okay. So one of the challenges with things like Top Producer or Excel or whatever it is, they can get lost in there. You don't need to have a ton of leads to have a good real estate business. You just need to have good ones that you're talking to on a regular basis. Makes sense? So, sorry, another tangent there. All right, let's get back on to...
That was a great tangent.
All right. Thank you. All right, connecting with people. So top of page 4-9 says research reveals an important characteristic all successful agents share. They are absolutely passionate about working with people and building relationships. We talked about that earlier in our Countdown to Payday. It's really not about us getting paid. Okay, it's about us coming from contribution, us serving, us helping others. Like Ziegler says, the more I help other people, the more help other people get what they want, the more they help me get what I want. Okay, it's coming from contributions. So these agents are passionate about talking to people. Now we kind of joke around that real estate is a contact sport. Okay, we joke around about that, and also about secret agents. Don't be a secret agent. So how many people in your world know that you're in real estate? Okay, know it on a regular basis that when they think real estate, they think of you. So that's a challenging part because we all want to say, well, everybody does. Everybody knows me. Until, our cousin lists with somebody else. But, oh, I forgot you were in real estate. I'm sorry. And you get mad at them. I'm talking to them again. Whose fault was it? Yours. Yeah, we first want to get mad at them. Oh, they should have known. Don't they know who I am? Okay. Then you realize, okay, wait a minute. When was the last time I talked to him? Did I ever talk to him about real estate? Or just about I'm in real estate? All right. So going back to connecting with people, and there's a great script. Hello, blank. This is blank. You have a minute. Great. I'm just calling you about business. So I'm going to share with you guys some scripts at the very end that is very similar to the scripts that you see here. Okay, talking about calling our sphere, for sale by owners, expires, just listed, and just sold. So you guys are going to get packets of those before you go. Please remind me, don't forget about that. But why do we start off asking or telling them that this is about business?
So I don't feel like it.
Pardon me?
So I don't feel like they're getting suckered in conversation.
They don't feel like they're going to get suckered in conversation.
Could you please share the forms that you use?
Ask me at the end. I'm happy to. Okay. So why do we say that this is a business call?
So that they know it's not just a lollygag type call.
Yeah, some people feel
short and sweet.
Yeah, some people feel a little uncomfortable that you're calling them, asking for business. Well, what's worse? Calling him and chit-chat, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while, this is our sphere. These are people that we know. Just want to call and say hi, see how you're doing. Oh, by the way, who do you know that's buying or selling? So when they hang up that phone with you, what are they going to think? Do they think that you called to chit-chat?
No.
Catch up with them? No. You call me about business.
Right.
But I think you don't want to just do the drive-by bombing. Just always
I was
calling for
gonna say,
business,
this script here is so much nicer, and I can see myself saying it, like, this is a business call. I can't see myself saying that to any of my friends, hi, wait a minute, this is a business call.
Okay.
But, I'd love to catch up with you, let's have lunch maybe sometime next week, but I'm at work right now, and I have, you know, we're gonna lead into that, as opposed to, this is a business call.
Okay, so we have to keep in mind, okay, that there's gonna be some things that we feel a little uncomfortable with, okay? Be transparent. We don't want them thinking we were calling the chit chat. Okay, these are people in our sphere and they're in our lives. We're gonna be talking to them anyways. Okay, we also, depending on your business, so if you have a goal of maybe doing, 12, 15 transactions, this probably doesn't really matter as much. If you have a goal of doing 25, 30, 50 transactions, this matters more. And part of the reason why this matters more is because you can be talking to your sphere and you just get the chit-chatting and you're on the phone for 30 minutes.
Right.
Okay, how many people can you talk to when you're talking to your sphere every 30 minutes? You're not going to be able to talk to a whole lot of people. Okay, so we're not saying being rude. We're not saying being short, okay, in a way. So there's different ways of sharing that. Now, there's three main ways that people, humans, communicate with people, right? There's the words that we use, right? How else do we communicate?
Mannerisms.
Our tone.
Body language.
And our body language. Okay, so those are the three main ways that we communicate with others. Okay, which one has the highest percentage of communicating?
Body language.
Tone and body language.
Okay, so body language, 58%. Okay, what's the next one? Tone. Tone is 35%. And for those good at math, words is 7%. So what does this tell us?
Doesn't matter what I say, I better be flipping excited.
Pretty much, just like that.
So, I'm glad we didn't have to edit that late. So when we're looking at these scripts and dialogues, we tend to get hung up on the words. But the reality is, that's only 7% of our communication. Okay, we have 93% of our communication coming from body and tonality. Okay, so if that doesn't work for you, then find another way that does. But we do want them to feel that you're not calling them to secretly get business. That's the most important part. We want to be transparent. Can you say in a different way that you feel more comfortable with? I'm sure that you can. Absolutely. Okay, but I know the people in my world, if I say, hey, this is Lloyd, I got a quick question for you. It's a business call. Do you have a second for me? Okay, people say, well, yeah, what do you need? I mean, my wife knows who, typically she can narrow down who I'm talking to by the way I'm talking. All right?
Right.
Okay, because we change our tone, we change our wording, we change a lot more. If I'm talking to my buddies, she knows I'm talking to one of my buddies. Okay.
So the body language, now you're on the phone, and so I know we have mirrors upstairs, and so what I've learned from that is I'm smiling when I'm talking on the phone. So I practice that really a lot now. So that helps me in a lot of ways.
Correct. Can you hear when someone's smiling?
Yes.
Yes.
On the other side.
Totally can.
Yeah. So being on the phone, we're limited because they can't see our body, but it's important. That's why we want to stand. That's why we have a mirror in front of us.
That's why your tone, voice inflections.
Your voice inflection changes? Absolutely. So, question?
I'm going to the sphere thing, sphere of influence. To me, sometimes there's a spectrum of that sphere of influence. Because you might have people that are in your sphere, but you may have sold them a house 2 years ago, and you are friends. You were friends before you sold the house, but then you're calling them and you haven't talked to them in 2 years. Correct. Versus the sphere that you may have talked to last week. So everybody talks about the sphere, but you got to segment it.
Right. They don't know why you're calling.
Right.
And they really, if it's that part of your world, they don't think it's about business. That's the reality of it. And also, as a newer agent, there's what I think is a much easier way. You're sharing what's going on in your world. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. you're sharing what's going on in your world, and that's that you're getting started in real estate. And, John, I got a big goal this year, and I need your help. What's John gonna say? No.
No.
Okay, he's gonna say, Lloyd, what do you need? I got a big goal this year of helping 25 families either buy a home, sell a home, buy an investment property. And here's where I need your help. Who do you know? Okay, not do you know, but who do you know that's looking to either buy a home, sell a home, or maybe interested in some investment properties? I can't think of anyone right now. That's a natural response. Okay, when you go into a store, all right, let's go, say you're going into Nordstrom. Salesperson approaches you. May I help you? 9 times out of 10, what are you going to say? Just looking. Just looking. All right, then you realize, like I do, it's like, oh no, because it was just a natural response. You didn't think about it. Then he's like, no, wear your 40-floor regular suits. Oh, they do it. All right, that wasn't our first response, typically. All right, so when you're talking to people, okay, they're going to have natural response patterns. That's going to be their first response. Expect it. Don't say, oh, okay, well, thank you.
Click.
Right. So then we need to dig a little bit deeper. Well, what about maybe somebody at your work? Maybe a neighbor, friends of yours. Someone that, if you know they're involved in some types of organizations, church. Have you talked to anyone that's thinking about, now they're starting to actually process it. And they said, oh, the majority of your leads are going to come from that second question,
right,
not from the first. Right? Again, getting off on tangents of scripts. But there's different ways, especially as if you haven't called them before, don't use that script. Well, I'm using that script, but I'm modifying it. Okay? About I need their help. I got a big goal this year to help so many people. Who do they know? Okay, but I do want to tell them that it's a business call because that's why I'm calling.
Right.
Okay, and if it gets too long or too lengthy, I'd love to catch up with you. I'm at work right now. Can I call you back? Right? Do you think you can modify it to something like that?
Oh, absolutely. I think of the notion of saying that I'm at work right now kind of suggests that it's a business call, clearly. We're not sitting at work trying to sit for a 30-minute talk and chatting about activities and stuff like this for kids. So, but it seems a little bit softer than.
But the process is still the same.
Yeah.
The points you're getting across are the same.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's, we're focusing on the 93%. Okay, but there's key items that we still want to get there. And I truly believe, I want to be transparent. I do believe letting them know it's
Yeah, because otherwise they feel used.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel good to me.
Just,
right.
you're not calling the same how you're calling.
Correct. Right. So let's see here. Talk about connecting. 4-10. Lloyd Wickman is another real estate trainer that's been in the industry for probably 40 years, and he would always call these open questions versus yes/nos. He'd always say it that way, yes/nos. Okay, what's a open question?
It's open-ended.
Asking an open-ended question. Why is it open? Typically starts with W, except for how. W's at the end. Okay? So if you're not sure what to say, kind of just get your lips in that. Where would you go next? When would that be? Okay? That's what Floyd was always called open questions. They always start with W. And they're also open-ended questions. You never want to ask yes/no questions. Do you know anyone that's thinking about buying or selling real estate? No. That didn't work. Who do you know? Who do you know? Well, I can't think of anyone. Well, great. Appreciate taking the time to think about it. What about somebody at work? Anyone at work talking about making a move? Maybe any of your neighbors, getting married, getting divorced? So asking those what or who, what, where, when, and is why, and how. So those are great questions to ask. Insights can shift. This is a great one. The fundamental theme of connecting is curiosity. Okay, one of the core principles of real estate of Keller Williams is stay in curiosity. Okay, because sometimes when we hear something, Okay, this is more than just prospecting, but in life, stay in curiosity. Sometimes we may hear something, or maybe we see something, and we filter it through our own lives, and we get mad. But if I stay in curiosity and I ask questions, and then I had a better understanding of where they're coming from or why they're doing what they're doing, maybe how I'm able to help them. Okay, but if I didn't stay in curiosity, I would have never dug deeper. I would have just taken it at first glance and come up with my own conclusion, which probably isn't right. So, especially when you find yourself getting upset with somebody, stay in curiosity. Ask them questions, open questions. All right, it says to know who someone is, to understand their wants and needs, and to become aware of their worries and concerns. So if you find out the wants, needs, worries, and concerns of your customers, of your clients, are you better suited to be able to help them? Absolutely. Okay, because you know, okay, here's where they're at, here's what they're concerned about, here's where they need to go. Now I just need to help them make that move. But if I don't dig deeper, I'm not going to know that. Okay, it says at this point you are investigating, not selling. Okay, you are a consultant. Okay, sometimes you'll see people, they call them real estate consultants. You know, yes, that's true. Okay, but I'm not ashamed of being a salesperson. Okay, because my salesperson is my image of a salesperson is probably a lot different than most people's images of a salesperson. Okay, so when you think about salespeople, 9 times out of 10, what do, I mean, not you, 9 times out of 10, what do people think?
Pushy.
Pushy.
Art van.
I'm sorry?
Art van.
Art van, when you walk in the door, they're, hi, can I help you? Okay, yeah, what else?
Amway.
Amway, okay, multi-level marketing, all right, what else? When most people think of a salesperson, what do they think of?
Selfish.
Selfish?
For himself.
Okay.
Pushy.
Pushy?
Just a
Okay.
number.
So when a seller calls you up and they want to sell, do they want a salesperson?
Yeah. Of course.
Okay. They don't want that image of a pushy person. Okay. They don't want that image of a selfish person, but they want somebody to sell their home. Okay. So in my mind, yes, they do want a salesperson, but one that's a professional salesperson. Okay. So what separates the selfish, pushy, manipulative versus a professional salesperson?
Art of communication.
Communication? Being able to communicate thoroughly?
I think the compassion of what it is that the customer is looking for, the client.
Compassion.
Really, yeah, demonstrating your interest in their interest. And
Absolutely.
getting them their goal.
By asking questions. Okay, finding out what's important to them, finding out what they want, finding out what that would do for them and their family. So when someone says, well, I want to move to Northville, great. Why do you want to move to Northville? Okay, don't stop there. Like when I'm coaching agents, why do I want to make 100 grand? Great. Why do you want to make 100 grand? Okay, because there's something about being in that area where they want to go that's important to them. And it's typically not just because it's in Northville or wherever. Okay, it's because of maybe school districts, closer to family, better lifestyle for them and their family. Okay, so we want to be crystal clear of what their big why is. Just as we want to be crystal clear about what our big why is, we'll talk about in a minute. Okay, we want the same for them, and that's that consultative approach. Okay, so being a salesperson is a good thing. Okay, a professional salesperson. And what you do and how you act, how you look. I mean, whether it's right or wrong, do people judge you how you look?
Yes.
Yes.
They do. They size you up in the first, 3 seconds? Okay, so if you're going out there to earn their business, okay, how you look's important. How you talk, what you say. You know, we look at professional athletes or professional singers, people in the movies, actors, actresses. You know, how much they practice. Yeah, let's go into the Tigers. Okay, their season opened last week.
Yeah.
Okay, when did they start practicing?
January,
Spring training.
February.
Most of them didn't stop. It's training.
Yes.
Okay, but
It's
spring training started like in
inside, they're doing
January.
it.
So they had January, February, March, part of April. So 3.5 months that they've actually been down in Florida, practicing. These are the cream of the crop. Okay, a very small percentage of guys that start off playing in Little League end up for national level, right? I mean, it's a small percentage. These are the cream of the crop. They don't stop training, okay, and they start practicing. I mean, they know how to hit, they know how to throw. Why do they do this? Why are they always training?
Stay sharp.
To stay sharp.
Continue, yeah.
To continue to improve. Okay, they got it. I love this saying. Some people get grossed out about it, but if you're not green and growing, you're ripe and rotten. Okay, there's no staying at the same level. You're either growing, you're either moving forward, or you're going backwards.
I was just gonna say, talent is natural, but skill comes from pounding on your craft every day.
Correct. Absolutely. All right, so let's look at page 4-11, close. All right, number 3. Write this down for me, please. Okay. A close is a natural ending to a good conversation. A natural ending to a good conversation. So there doesn't need to be, 15 different ways of how to close on a seller. Okay, sometimes you'll see that. You'll see these techniques. All right? If you have a great conversation with somebody, okay, you're asking the right questions, okay, you're interested in them, you know what to say, you know how to say it, closing's the easy part because they feel comfortable with you. But it does talk about different ways of and I don't think this is different ways, but of how of closing. So there's the hard close when you're talking to somebody. Well, let's meet. Sometimes they can be too pushy for somebody. There's a soft close. I really enjoyed visiting with you. When would you like to get together to discuss this future, or this further? It's a little bit softer. Direct close. Can we meet today, or would tomorrow be better? Indirect. Would it be okay if I got you some information to look over, and then we can meet to discuss? Sure. All these are different ways of asking the same question in a different way, and doing it in a way that you feel comfortable in doing. Okay. But there's lots of different ways of doing it. Make sense?
I think it also matters the relationship of the person that you're addressing to. Maybe how well you know them, or no?
I don't think so. Because most people, when I go, if I'm calling people I don't know, you've worked on people I do know, not necessarily. It could depend on their personality style.
Oh, yes, that's what I mean.
Yes, the personality
You
style.
know they're like, straightforward, but maybe the hard close would be get to it,
Correct. Get to the point. So
Or
if
if they are
so,
not.
yep. And we'll talk about that in a future class. Is the 4 different personality styles. Okay, the DISC, which you may have heard of. If you haven't, don't worry about it. You'll hear it again. That's the biggest thing that I've learned in real estate. That's helped me grow as an individual in my life. And I'm not kidding about that or exaggerating about that. It is the realization that people are different, with different personality styles. And if I want to deal with everybody how I want to be dealt with, I'm going to annoy about half the people out there. Okay, because they're not my same personality style. So it's caring about them, though, to realize, are they the driver? Are they analytical? Are they expressive? Are they amiable? So it's mirroring and matching of who they are. Not to trick them, but to make them feel comfortable. Because if they feel comfortable, they're going to share more information with you. If they share more information with them, I want to be able to help them with their goals. So it's all about them, not about me saying who I am. Okay, saying, well, I'm not going to change who I am. Are you changing who you are? Or are you just communicating at a level that they're more comfortable with?
Great.
So when is a chameleon not a chameleon?
Doesn't change color.
Pardon me?
Doesn't change
How
color.
old is the
Well,
chameleon?
a chameleon's always a trick question, sorry. A chameleon's always a chameleon, right?
Yeah.
But it adapts. It changes colors to the environment. Okay, so that's, for me, that was the best analogy of, like, yeah. Because I don't want to change who I am. But do I want to annoy people? No. Is it all about me? No. Okay, it's about them. So realizing where they're coming from, who they are, will help you grow. All right. So cultivate. So what do we talk about when we're cultivating? What do we talk about in this process here?
You have to keep up with it.
Keep in contact with them. Okay, how do we cultivate with them? How do we do this? Keller Williams makes it
Touch
very,
campaigns,
very,
8x8s.
very easy. Okay, pardon me?
The touch campaigns, the 8x8 or the.
The 8x8, the 12x12. And we'll get deeper into this for some of the new people that are familiar with that. But basically, so you know, it's a systematic way that doesn't cost you any additional money. It's one of the tools that's provided that you can stay in contact with them depending on who the person is. You know, if it's a seller lead or a buyer lead or your sphere, there's different campaigns you can put them in. That could be all email or all mail. You can do a mixture of the two. But the 33 touch is one that we always do with our sphere. So we want everyone to be a part of that. The most important segment of the 33 touch is what? For those that know them. So there's emailing, there's mailing, there's calling. Okay, what's the most important part? Calling. Oh, there's also, writing personal letters, stopping by. But the most important one is calling, having a conversation with them. All right, so that's Keller Williams makes it very easy to cultivate those leads because it's a drip campaign. You're consistently, once you put them in that system, okay, so set it and forget it. Put yourself in that system too, so you know when things are going out. But the 33 touch, one is time-based, like every time, based on the calendar year, and another one, like the 8x8, is based on when you put them in there. So it'll send like X days from the day you put them in here, this will go out. X days from that will go out. But the 33 touch, basically, you can send out one for Valentine's Day cards. You can select different postcards that go out to them. All these things they can do, but it's set up with the time of the year, basically. So, all right, so let's see here. 4-13, mix and match. The steps you take from capture to close do not always have to be followed sequentially. Right? The 4 C's prospecting model serves as a guide to keep you focused on the outcome. Get an appointment, a referral, or strengthen a relationship. So don't get too caught up in the process, but know the things that you need to accomplish because it can be in different times. All right, there's some more scripts, which we'll do at a later time for prospecting scripts. Also, the ones that I hand out to you too are in more depth.
Lloyd?
Yes.
How long have you had a script partner?
I always have script partners.
And what?
And I always change my script partners. Okay, because what are we talking about script partner?
Practicing every day with some role play.
Right. So I want to practice every day. I know some agents sometimes do it 2 times a day. And the call is probably about 10 to 15 minutes. And it's not about, once you start talking about, hey, how are the kids, how are this, how are that, it's time to get a new partner. Okay? Because, and I'm not trying to be short or mean or rude, but I have family at home that I want to spend time with. I have my other friends that I want to spend time with. Okay? I'm working right now, and these people could be friends, but also why are we talking? We're talking to sharpen our skills, build our business, not chit chat. Because if you have role play partners, and if you really focus on what you did in that 15 minutes, were you practicing or were you chit chatting? So many times you have to change role play partners. But every day we're practicing. I mean, I could practice on a live lead, okay, and kind of, get in a routine. And I could mess up that lead and it could cost me thousands of dollars. If you and I are role playing and I mess up, what does it cost me? Okay. So realize that you're going to practice no matter what. Is it going to cost you money or not? So, great question. All right, let's see here. So next page, 4-14, the 3-3. So basically what they're saying here that we need to lead generate. We know the statistics show us, okay, after interviews of hundreds of top agents from across the country, not just in Keller Williams. That was the cool thing that because I was with Coldwell Banker when that book came out, MREA. And I thought, oh, just KW propaganda. Can't be very good. They're just interviewing their own agents. Oh no, they're not. There's agents from Coldwell Banker that they interviewed. top agents from Prudential, from Century 21. So it wasn't about any type of brand, it was about what are these top agents from across the country, what are they doing, what are the similarities, what can we learn from that? If we do these things, we can grow our business. That's really what the book was about. Okay, and what they found out is top agents, like Chris Heller, which we'll see here shortly, okay, he prospects 3 hours every morning. Okay, he spends at least the first 2 hours on finding new people, new contacts, okay, and an hour on lead follow-up. 70 to 80% of our business, of our appointments, will come first call or lead follow-up. Lead follow-up. 70 to 80% of our business, I'm going to say that again because it's important, will come from the second or later call, not the first call. So not a lot of agents prospect. Okay, less agents even follow up. So if you're doing these things like you should, you're gonna have a greater chance. 70-80% of business comes from lead follow up. All right, so they say that we need to spend 3 hours of lead generation every day. Okay, and we need to get 3 things done in those 3 hours. 1, prepare, take action, and maintain. Okay, prepare, basically getting those lists together, whether it be our sphere, whether it be our leads from here, whether it be expires, for sale by owners, circle prospecting. Okay, what's circle prospecting?
Calling around your just listed and just sold in a neighborhood.
Yeah. So many times we call them just listed calls or just sold calls. Okay. Do I need to have a sale in that neighborhood or a listing in that neighborhood to make a just listed call? No. No. Do I say it's my listing? No. Okay. So it could be as simple as ring ring. Homeowner answers, hello, Mr. Seller, this is Lloyd, the local realtor. Just gonna let you know that there's a property listed just down the street from you. I didn't say I listed it. There's a property listed just down the street, and I go into the script. Because they don't care if I listed it or not. Okay, so you can make those calls, okay, without it having to be yours. If it's within the office, I would ask the other agent if that's okay, just for some kind of courtesy. If it's outside the agent, it doesn't matter. Just don't say it's your listing. Okay, so there's this huge list of ways of getting lists of people to call. You should never be at the point of, well, I don't know who to call, or I called all my leads today. No, that's just a good excuse. that might make you feel better, but okay, let's reevaluate this. Because there's lots of people out there. So you have to decide from, and this starts from your goals and working with a productivity coach of what do you want your business to look like. Some people may not want to talk to people they don't know, and that's okay. Okay, I'm not here to say this is what you have to do to a certain extent. Okay? Meaning that you got to call these people. So if you don't like to talk to strangers, you just want to talk to people you know, great. Here's how you do that. Well, you also have to realize, do you need a bigger sphere to reach your goal? Because let's say you want to do 100 transactions, but you only know a couple hundred people. Well, we got a problem here because the math doesn't add up. Because if you do things really well at 200, you'll get about 20. You want 50. Where are we going to find the other 30 from? Okay? So then if you just want to talk to people you know, then it's building that database. Some people may say, well, I don't feel comfortable talking to, my sphere. I don't really want to talk to people. I don't like my family. I don't like my friends. Whatever the case is. Okay? So then we need to focus on these other ways. And sometimes it's a mixture. Okay? It doesn't matter. It's what you want your business to look like. Okay? But we know the core principles are the same, that we need to communicate with them on a regular basis. So what are the 5 best lists or 5 best types of people we can call for business? Who wants to guess? 5 best. They're generic, so don't think too hard.
People you know.
People you know. So there's your sphere.
Past clients.
Okay. Past clients are included in sphere. Yeah, absolutely. So definitely past clients. Okay, so we categorize those as one. And for the newer agents in here, odds are your first sale is going to come from your sphere of influence. Okay? And so many times people think, well, because when I got started out, I was younger. It's like, I'm 22 years old, 23 years old, my friends aren't buying houses yet. Well, it's not necessarily them, but it's people that they know. It could be their parents. Could be older brothers or sisters, and uncles, okay? So it's just not them. But odds are your first sale is gonna come from people in your sphere. All right, what's another one?
Expires.
Expires, absolutely. So expires is a big one. Okay, we already know that they want to sell because they tried it before. One reason or another, it didn't sell. Okay, what's another good one? We talked about it before in here.
FSBO.
FSBOs. What does FSBO stand for?
Sell by owner.
Sell by owner.
Fastest source of business opportunity.
I like that, I'm gonna write it down.
Fastest source of business opportunity. All right, I closed one Friday, a few days ago. The first time I had 3 conversations with them. That's it. When I went in there for the market analysis or for the presentation, she had all the documents already signed. There was no presentation. It was moreover just a process of here's what's going to happen.
Right.
Because I still want to tell them that part, so I'm setting the stage, the expectations of what they expect from me, what I'm going to expect from them, things like that. But there was no, they already said yes. The more I talk, I'm going to talk myself out of a listing. Okay? When someone says, yes, I want to buy, great, sign here. Okay? I saw this, and it was very ironic. It was at a Mike Ferry retreat. And my broker, this is when I was managing, my broker was in the back buying this program, and the salesperson kept talking and talking. My broker literally had his wallet out. As the person was talking, I saw him put it back in. And I'm standing next to him like, no! Because I was a manager, so I wanted these tools for the agents. I'm like, no, shut up! You know, he had his wallet in his hand. The salesperson kept talking, and for some reason or another, it wasn't a good fit. But anyways, fastest source of business opportunity. All right, talked to them 3 times. Okay, they were for sale by owner. It was a $363,000 sale, 3% commission on my side. Okay, and finished to end from the first time I talked to them to when I got my check was about 45, 50 days. Okay, that's not normal. Okay, but it can happen. All right, because we do talk about for sale by owner, sometimes takes a little bit longer. Like your expireds, you can typically get a quicker process or a quicker appointment on expired because then you already saw the value. So many times, depending on where the for sale by owner is in the process of it, okay, will probably determine on how long it'll take to cultivate that relationship. So they had that home on the market for probably a month and a half, couple months. They had it on Zillow. Okay, I listed the house down the street. And when I saw the sign, I went down there, stopped the car. She was outside. The first contact, you know, I let her borrow one of my lock boxes because she was going down to Atlanta because that's where her fiance lives. I'm like, well, how are you going to show it? You know, if the agent wants to see it, she was, well, I don't know. I'm like, here, you can borrow one of my lock boxes. So that was kind of cool. And then I meant to follow up with them. I didn't do a very good job of lead follow-up, and the fiance called me a few days later. Wanted more information about what we could do for them. And then the third appointment was at the house when they had everything signed. But if I would have talked to them the day they had it on the market, do you think that would have happened? No. Okay, because, and I don't blame them. You know, and this is a great line that I use when I'm talking to for sale by owners, because odds are, why are they selling to themselves?
They're frustrated with the other agents. Yeah.
One, they can be frustrated with the other agents. Okay.
Save money. They think.
Save money.
Right.
Okay, most people, okay, sell themselves to save the money. I tell them, hey, if I had to sell my house and I thought I could sell without paying the commission, I'd do the same thing. What did I just do?
Eased them.
Yeah. So many agents want to tell them that they're wrong, or you know, make them wrong, or make them feel bad, or they're stupid for doing themselves, whatever. Okay. Yeah, if I could save the money, and the reality is, that first house that I bought when I was 17, I tried. Because I thought, hey, I could save that commission. I could put a sign up, hold it open on Sundays. Piece of cake. Not that easy. Especially at 17. People would come in and say, is your mom and dad home? No. But the reality is, most people, you know, aren't going to be able to sell it themselves. And not for the price we can do it. But again, depending on where they're at. So we always go for the yes, but we have to realize that it could take time for that for sale by owner. So we got our sphere, we have our expireds, we have for sale by owners. Okay, so what are the next two? Just listed and just sold. So I always say them separately, but combine them, circle prospecting. And then again, we talked about it doesn't necessarily have to be your listing. Okay, it doesn't necessarily have to be your sale. You just have to change the verbiage a little bit, but it's calling them. And here is so frustrated with myself, and again, learn from my mistakes. Okay, so this for sale by owner I mentioned before. I mean, this is just a perfect situation and a great reminder of what we do, preach, and teach does happen. I had a referral. That's how I got the first listing. A friend of mine in my sphere referred me to them, listed their property, saw the for sale by owner. My listing appointment, went to the for sale by owner, introduced myself. Okay, listed that one. The sellers are here, found them a home in Milford. Okay, when people would call on the sign, okay, I answered. I followed up. I double dipped that sale. That was at 415, sold for 413. Listed at 415, sold for 413. Okay, so there's 3 transactions there. Okay, what I failed to do is make time to circle, to call just listed, just sold. A house that was behind the for sale by owner, listed today.
And you just kick yourself.
I have cards that are being printed. A little late for that. Okay, statistically we know when one house goes on the market, now within a couple weeks, a couple months, there's going to be more that go on the market. It just works out that way. And I may have lost 10 grand. That hurts. Okay. So, just listed, just sold, they do. And I don't think it's a cold call. I don't look at it as a cold calling. Why?
Because you have a real reason to call them.
I do. Does that sale impact the value of their home?
Yeah.
Most people in the community want to know when something happens in the market, what's going on. So you are. Okay. And also, so the postcard that I have, which is pretty cool, I worked out. I got both pictures of the house, listed and sold within 2 weeks, multiple offers. And the back says, we have buyers who are looking to move into your area now. There was, 6 buyers that missed out because we had multiple offers on their home. That worded that long, but the intent of it is. So I'm going to go door to door and hang those on their doors and have conversations. I want to build relationships in that area. Unfortunately, I was just a little late doing that, so I lost out on one, but there could be more.
One thing that kind of perplexes me about the circle prospecting is getting the phone numbers for the houses. You go into Bressers and you can get the phone numbers. So that's one step that's arduous. And then you actually phone call them.
Yes.
And actually reaching a person is difficult because so many of us screen our calls.
Correct.
And then the number of people that you're actually able to connect with by doing the exercise, let's say you call 100 people, might just be a couple. And so it seems like a lot of time invested to reach just a couple people. And I'm just wondering if there's other ways to draw people to call you when you've sold a property. So for instance, when we listen to the 100 listings in 100 days guy or whatever, and he puts that huge sold thing up immediately.
Correct.
And then people call you.
Correct.
I'm just interested in ways that we can do that to get more incoming calls instead of.
Sure. So there's different things that we do, items like that'll help. But not one thing is going to reach everybody.
Right.
So that's why we do lots of things, especially as newer agents. You have nothing but time. And this is the most critical part of your business is finding the business. Because everything else, you can find somebody, and besides you're calling people and going on presentations, everything else you could get an administrator for. Okay? You guys get paid the big money for finding buyers and sellers.
Can I just add something that might help everyone with the prospecting? And this is something, obviously I've learned and developed even more being the inside sales associate, but in my past career, between the military and this, I used to look at it as, if I was going into a neighborhood that has 100 homes, I'm only gonna get 10 people to set an appointment with me. So think of it as, like, I know that I have to hear 90 people tell me no before I'm gonna get those 10 people that tell me yes. Now, sometimes does it happen a lot sooner? Yeah, of course. But you gotta be in that mindset that I know out of 100 people, 90 people are gonna tell me no, no way, right off the bat. Keep going. It's a numbers game. You gotta put your funnel in. You gotta filter it in to get it out.
Because that's
You gotta-
ways, but we're not looking for everybody. We're looking for the needle in the haystack, all right? Because to have a good business, how many transactions do we really need? 20, 30, 40, 50, 100? You know, I mean, it's dependent on you. So we're gonna have to go through a lot of no's. It's part of the process. All right, and then also look at it for, so if my sales price for my sphere or my non-REO business last year was $312. Okay, so let's just do round math. That's $9,000 was my average commission check. So if I need to talk to, 200 people, because what does that equal?
1.8.
Pardon me? Is that $180? Am I right? No, it's not.
Okay, what are the numbers?
So
9,000,
yeah.
what's the other number?
Whoops, was that 40?
200.
Sorry. So what's 9,000 divided by 200?
45.
I know, this is basic math for all of us.
45.
No, 40.
450.
$450, right? Okay, so that could be on the high side, but if it takes me 200 no's to get to one yes, each no costs me $450. Is that right? That's not
Is that a
right.
mailing?
It's $45.
45.
$45.
$45. I'm like, oh, it's a lot. Okay, so still, $45. That sounds right. So if it takes me 200 no's to get to one closed deal, every no costs $45. If you got a no and realize you just made $45, are you okay with that? I am.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Bring them on. Right? Okay. So once you start looking at it, dissecting it, because you should know your numbers. So we have general statistics that we know, especially with the MREA, that we know it takes so many calls, okay, to get an appointment. They say so many appointments to get a listing, so many listings to get a listing sold. So we can break it down where we know I need to talk to X amount of people, okay, every day to reach my goal. Okay, and that's where your productivity coach will help you with, breaking down your numbers. So you know every day I need to talk to X amount of people every day. If I talk to X amount of people every day, and I'm role playing, and I'm practicing, and I'm learning, okay, I'm gonna get these appointments. And you have to understand, it doesn't necessarily happen in that day. Okay, you could go a week and not get any appointments, and then on Friday you get 3 appointments. It just happens that way. Okay, but we have to be comfortable, we have to have a little faith in the system. Okay, because our coaches, the training, okay, Keller Williams doesn't make money unless you do. We don't. So we're not going to be up here teaching you these things where you're not going to make money off of. Okay, because the set fees that you guys pay, it's just a drop in the bucket versus our desk fee of $18,000.
Right.
So you have to have a little faith when it comes to that too. Make sense? But sometimes that makes things a little more comfortable. And the reality is that no wasn't, I can't think about it as, well, they don't like me. Okay, it's just, maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they don't need my services right now. Just think, it's a nice sunny day out there. And let's say your roof is kind of older, but it's sunny, it's dry. You get a roofer call you. You don't need his services. No. Hang on. Let's say it's pouring rain out here, you have all these buckets in your living room catching where the leaks are coming through. That roofer calls you, how soon can you get here? Because they need that service. So some people that we talk to just aren't going to need our services right now, and we have to be okay with that. So, all right. Great question. So, let's see here. We talked about preparing, getting all these lists together, and that should be done ahead of time, okay? Not during you're calling, preparing, also practicing the scripts. All right, so how do we learn these scripts? We talked about role play. How else do we learn scripts? Chris Heller talked about them. I don't know if you caught that. How do we learn our scripts? He called it internalizing our scripts. How do we do that?
Repeat them.
Repeat them, yes. Okay? See, because that's a good thing of body tone, because you're like, you weren't sure. Repeat them. You know, so you were saying the right thing, but your body language didn't have that confidence.
It was a guess.
Another way.
Right. So absolutely, we're going to repeat them. We're going to chant them. We're going to role play with others. We're going to record ourselves and listen to it over and over again. We're going to do it in front of the video. Okay, there's all these different ways. We're going to write them down. Okay, think back when you were in school. How did you memorize stuff? How did you learn things? So when you look at maybe your favorite actor or actress, let's look at Tom Hanks. All right, you know, what movie was he last in? He's been in so many. What was his last one?
Walt Disney. Is that Walt Disney?
Oh, he was in the one with Emma Thompson.
So what's the name of that movie? I can't remember his role, but was he really that person?
It was the Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
He was
I mean,
Walt Disney. Yes.
Making
Yeah,
of
it's
that.
only Mary, yes. So he's been in so many different roles, but that's not Tom Hanks. He's playing a role, and he gets paid millions and millions of dollars to play that role. Okay, is he reading a script?
Yeah.
He's internalized the script.
Right.
Okay, I enjoy Will Smith, especially the movie In Pursuit of Happiness.
Great.
You guys see that movie?
Yeah.
Great movie about life and also about sales too. But and Chris Gardner, who the movie was about, he was actually at one of our mega camps or family reunions a couple years ago. So it was just great hearing the real story, who it happened to. But Will Smith wanted to hang around with Chris Gardner and wanted Chris Gardner to take him through that subway in San Francisco, into that bathroom where they spent many nights at. Because he wanted to really get into that role. He didn't want to be Will Smith. He was getting paid millions of dollars to be Chris Gardner. Right? He internalized the script. He became, really, they try and become that person. Right? So these scripts are well written. We know that they work. You have to learn them. Okay. Also, there's different ways of internalizing those. All right, here. Oh, we talked about 416, so we're a little ahead of ourselves about a note on no. Okay, so we have to realize and not take it personal, and understand that's part of the process, and understand, yes, we are closer to a yes, because we know it's a numbers game. Yeah, I like Ben Kenny's quote, top left-hand side. He goes, prospecting is just a numbers game. If you dial enough phone numbers and talk to enough people, you'll get enough appointments. And going back to saying, okay, is there other ways of getting them to call us? Yes, there's, you know, our teams do it very well, our large teams, where they spend tens of thousands of dollars every month to get people to call them. I think, talked to Jeff last week, Jeff Glover, you may have seen his billboards around. Okay. Any idea what he spends per month on marketing?
Like 50 to 60,000.
It's at $70,000 now, because he added TV.
Yeah, right. I saw his commercial the other day, actually.
$70,000
I did see it.
every month.
Oh, no, a month?
Yeah, that's a month.
Okay, yeah, and he gets people to call him. You know, he'll get 5, 6 people in a day calling him that are interested about buying or selling. Okay, he started off because we were managers together. He was managing the Livonia office of Global Baker. He started really in the same week of managing. He was a salesperson before that, really good sales. He started at Art Van. He started at Circuit City. He started at Circuit City. He went to Art Van.
Don't tell him I said that.
Oh, it's okay. But he also learned too. He got into sales at a really young age in real estate sales. Became the manager. They closed that office. He did some of the training, but just wasn't really thrilled about it. And then in, I think it was 2008, he had a goal of closing 100 transactions in 2008. So it was him. He had one guy that was working with him that was helping make some of the calls, but Jeff was making most of the calls. But I would be at different events, like Mike Ferry events. They're usually like in Vegas or in California. So he would wake up, if he's on West Coast time, 3 hours behind. So he would wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, get ready, get dressed, get on the phones at 5 o'clock in the morning, calling back into here to set appointments. So when he came back, he had appointments to go on versus not calling, coming back. Now he's a week behind from his goal. Dedication? Absolutely. Focused? Absolutely. You know, one of my agents that I was coaching in, I was at the Northfield Global Banker. He was a pilot for Northwest at the time. He would buy calling cards. So when he had the flight to Japan, so he'd be in Japan on his calling cards prospecting for business back here. So when he came back, he had appointments to go on. Okay, I'm not saying everyone's got to be that focused, but if it's your goal and you want to do it, he knew this is what he had to do. Okay, so before he spent $70,000 on a month on marketing, maybe people would call him, he picked up the phone and talked to people. He talked to a lot of people. Right, so there's definitely ways of doing that. Sorry. Oh, so going back to your question too, you're right. So if we call people in the neighborhood, we might get 10% of the numbers, 20% of the numbers, you know. So that's why I mail, I call, and I door knock. I only do that in areas that I want to grow my business. Okay, so would I do that in every area? No, because I don't want to spend it. There's not enough time to do that. But for instance here, when I already had 2 sales back to back, it's not a big neighborhood and I know people in that area, is that a price point I want? Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to do all 3. Because I'm not going to get a hold of one person maybe just by mail or just by calling or just on the door. But if I do all 3, I have a better chance of connecting with somebody. All right. So a note on the do not call list. So don't call them. Talk to your team leader on that.
You know, kind of like on the expired listing. I mean, that's kind of catch-22 because you know that they've already tried to sell their house, but for some reason their number, by accident or whatever, because of other reasons, is on the do not call list, but they're trying to sell their house.
Yes. If I called somebody and they told me they were on the do not call list, I would apologize and hang up. If I accidentally called them, not realizing they were on the do not call list. So,
even if they're expired listing?
If they say, I'm not on the do not call list.
Then you just say, I'm sorry.
Correct.
Oh, so sorry.
Yep.
And it's usually not a problem.
It's usually not a problem. So if you accidentally call them.
Right. Oh, I'm so sorry. I must have pressed a 1 at the end.
Yeah. So,
We're allowed to make accidents, right?
Yep, absolutely. All right, 4- where are we at here? Let's get to 4-19. Taking action. All right, so this is, again, more information from Chris Heller. You know, it's showtime, so it doesn't matter. I watched one interview with Chris, and Chris loves live music, going to concerts. He went to a concert in the middle of the week, but he was still in his office, 8 o'clock, making phones the next morning. It's his job, okay? It's his job. So many times if we talk to new agents, say, okay, we'll pay you $100,000 every year, but this is what you need to do. You need to come at 8 o'clock, role play practice for 30 minutes, get on the phone for 3 hours, 2 hours of talking to new people, 1 hour of lead generation. Would you do that? Most people say, yeah, all right. But we don't do it for ourselves. Interesting dilemma. Okay, it's not that difficult. We're not digging ditches. But it's not easy either. But the reality is if we do these things. So he knows it's his job to show up, regenerate. Okay, he also has a positive attitude. He goes, at the beginning of his career, Chris Heller used his enthusiasm to counteract his lack of experience. Enthusiasm sells, he says, so I practiced it. I wrote out my scripts, I chanted my scripts, and I role-played them every day with agents in the office because once I had them internalized, I didn't have to worry about what I was going to say. So I could relax and respond with enthusiasm. Okay, also, I mean, and don't let that stop you from calling if you don't know the scripts. Read them if you have to, okay? But do your best, pick one script, write it down. You know, write it down over and over and over again. You know, put it on a note card, keep it in your pocket. When you're at a stoplight, you know, see if you can, you know, go through without looking. We also sometimes have contests, you can say the fastest. So my expired script, I usually say it 2 breaths. All right, so just kind of have fun with it, but Because if we're looking at what we need to say next, I will listen to what they're saying.
No.
Yeah, so that's the important part of internalizing it. Once you internalize it, then it's yours. Okay, it's gonna sound like you. Okay, I'm saying the right things. Keep a smile on your face. So we talked about that. Stand, rather sit. Dress professionally. Again, all things that we talked about. Top right hand corner says, my attitude is that every person I talk to has a paycheck stapled to their forehead. And it's my job to go out and get it. I'm not going to lose it. I will do whatever it takes to get that appointment. All right, next, 422, maintain. So this is the little paper syndrome, okay? This is important. So every part of your day should have, at the end of it, putting those people into your database. Or putting them in a list so you know, okay, these are the people I need to send a letter to next. Or having a system of maintaining, of cultivating, of growing your sphere. Let's see here. Aim high. Again, we need to realize that real estate's a 90-day cycle. So we can't always judge ourselves and how well we're doing based off the results if we have an appointment that day or a listing that day. If you're doing what is on your daily schedule, you're making the contacts, we're on page 4-23. Is that right? Right, Lucia? 4-23. You know, if you're doing what's on your daily activity, go home, you know, proud, have your head up. It's interesting, so many people, so many agents worry about work when they're at home, and they worry about home when they're at work. It happens all the time, and it's sad. Okay, we need to stay focused. When we're at work, we're working. When we're at home, we're at home. Okay. Chris also talks about in the middle of page 4-23, 3 ways of getting business. We can either wait for it, okay, based on, you know, the internet, people calling in, ad calls, walk-in calls. We can buy it, marketing, taking a less of a commission, different ways we can buy it. Or 3, we can go out and earn it by prospecting. He said here, the cheapest, fastest, and the most productive way is just to go out and earn it. Chris says, I never questioned for a moment that prospecting was the best way for me to go. Yeah. So next page, 4-24, power of prospecting in more than one way. Again, there's all different ways we can regenerate. Don't feel like you can do it one way. Figure out what you want your business to look like, okay, and build it from there. 4-25, a great list there of things that may trigger a who do you know. I mean, it's almost like going through the yellow pages. Start with A. Okay, think about, do you know any accountants? Do you need auto repair? Whatever it is. You know, start thinking about who do you know and building your database. All right, 4-26, more lead generation targets. All right, something else to keep in mind too is like sometimes when we're calling expires, in some systems, we actually may get the phone number to the other agent. It happens.
Yeah.
So I can say, oh, I'm sorry, feel bad, and hang up. Or I can have a conversation with them. They know what I'm doing. Okay? So again, there's no wrong numbers in sales. So I'm talking to you. So how's everything going? I see you listed. Sorry to see you listed. What happened?
I had one that he started yelling at me.
Sure.
And I said, you mean the house that you lost because you couldn't have sold it? I mean, because he was so being so rude to me, I said, I'm sorry. But that's what I said to him, you mother. And I was like, all right.
Yeah, it's like, why are you yelling at me? Yeah, it's interesting, you know, because they're upset with themselves. That is the bottom line. All right, let's see here. And that is it. Questions, concerns. One of the things I want to show you, if you guys have time. All right, I can show you. If you got to go, you got to go. Take these on your way out. These are the strips. Okay, I want to show you just a couple of things back here. There's plenty for everybody. Just take those on the way out. So if you got to go, I understand, but I did want to show you a couple of things to find out. To watch Chris Heller. I would highly recommend doing so.
Lloyd, while you're setting that up, may I ask a couple of questions?
Sure.
One is concerning your.
We were supposed to go to 2, right? I mean, till 3.
3, yeah, until
Okay.
One is concerning your signs.
Yes.
As far as your branding, now, do you use your photo, or are your photos on your?
On my
cards?
signs, no.
No? Okay, you don't think it gives an advantage of person name and face? Okay. secondly, if you attend a networking event, and I do understand if you attend a networking event and everyone has an opportunity to introduce themselves and they share what they do, then you can kind of hone in on that particular person. But what's your presentation or your spiel on a one-on-one networking event when you are looking for new leads and you're prospecting, so working with leads?
So first, introduce myself of what I do, and just ask them, who do you know? You know, I got a big goal this year of helping 50 families either buy, sell, or buy investment properties.
Okay, that's.
You know, I'm not sure if you know where the market's at right now, but we have the lowest interest rates. They actually dipped yesterday, 3.75. It's unbelievable. So, and also prices are low, but they're going up. All right, who do you know that's looking to buy real estate, sell, buy some investment properties? It's really the same script, just done in a different way.
Okay.
And that's the goal. And the goal is, in a networking event, typically, I do want to share with them my goals. If I'm there to help them grow their business, they're there to help me grow my business. So I tell them a little bit about that and why I'm doing it. Great questions. So here is Chris Heller. Can someone grab the lights there for me? All right, so if you just go to YouTube, Chris Heller Prospecting, okay, you will see this video here. This one here is about 38 minutes. Okay, and it's really about him just doing his lead generation. We're just going to watch a couple minutes of it. Then you guys can look it up on your own.
I usually go for, making 30 contacts, which, takes me sometimes 2.5 hours, depending on the type of calls I'm making. And then I do lead follow-up after that.
So this is 2 hours.
So you actually count how many calls you make, and how do you do that?
Two ways, either slash marks on a post-it note, or I have a clicker.
Okay, and it counts.
It counts.
Pretty basic.
And so
Up to 9,999.
Okay, got it. So we're doing, now I see $1 million bill there. What's that for?
That's my, well, it used to be my goal to net each year, but now I need more than that, so I'm gonna have to get another one.
Well, I see some more up there, so that works out really well. So it's to remind you that you want to net $1 million, not make $1 million, net $1 million. That's important. I also see your business plan, and so you stare at that every day.
Stare at that every day. It's also taped on the outside of my shower, facing in, so I see it twice a day there too.
Okay, and why is that important?
Just to keep it in front of me, to keep it it's the focus, to keep it the focus of everything I do.
Okay, well, I also see a graph over here, and this graph actually tells what happened in February. Do you get that every single month?
Every Monday.
Every Monday?
Yeah, the whole team gets it every Monday, so they can see where we're at.
Knowing the numbers.
For the month.
So this focus is very important on what you want to accomplish. So today we're going to get focused and let you start prospecting, okay?
Yeah, we call them expireds.
So it's actually interesting, the video, you don't see him doing a lot of prospecting, and just because it's just a short video, but it kind of sets the stage and talks about why he's doing it. And in watching him, you're not going to be wowed by his presentation style, okay? Because I mean, he's good, okay? But what makes him great is his habits of talking to people for 2 hours, 3 hours every single morning, okay? 5 days a week, having goals, knowing the numbers, knowing the scripts, knowing the dialogue. That's what makes him great. Okay, he wasn't born with an amazing way, amazing personality. He's a very nice guy, don't get me wrong. But that's what I think is really cool about this video. Okay, he's just a regular guy that has great habits. So anything like this, you guys can definitely get one too. So I encourage watching that one. Also, real quick, we talked about having, and it was in here too, we discussed it, but having a dream board. Sorry, let me get this back up real quick. All right, this is my big why. So why do we need a big why in real estate?
Keep it focused, motivated.
Inspired, and right, because even though we know that we're gonna get a lot of no's, even though we know we can't take it personally, sometimes it's a drain. He's got his $1 million on there. He's got pictures of his family that you would see when he watches on there, and his goals. So when it gets tough, or when you're like maybe not the most motivated, I look at this and realize, okay, what's my big why? Why am I here? Because it's not to collect just money. It's what that money does for me and my family. And the reality is, there's people out there that I can find to help me. And if I find enough of them, they're going to help me. So it all starts with prospecting. All right, so thank you for staying here a little bit longer. I hope it was beneficial for you guys. If you have any questions, happy to answer anything for you. So good luck, and I'll see you probably in about a week or so at some other class.
What is tomorrow's?
Tomorrow's class is going to be, at least that's scheduled here, is going to be, prepare to working with buyers and buyer consultation.
Just get it done.
Yeah, there's,